Today we have amongst us Shri Amitabh Kantji, who was a pillar behind the organization of G-20 Presidency. And on the other side, we are all here as ordinary citizens who actively participated in various events of G-20 Presidency of India. Our memories are still fresh in our mind how India conducted itself during the G-20 Presidency. I still remember on 1st December 2022, we began our G-20 Presidency with a large University Connect program, where we connected with thousands of students, both in physical mode and also in online mode. And during the concluding part of G20, again, we had a large-scale University Connect program where the Honorable Prime Minister himself was present, and he spoke to thousands of students in the physical mode and in online mode, including the faculty members and institutional heads. This clearly demonstrated the importance of our young people in driving the G20 presidency. Friends, as Shri Amitabh Kantji has beautifully described, during G20 presidency, India emerged as a consensus builder on various topics, including the uneven economic growth, issues related to extreme poverty, multidimensional poverty, the climate change, our struggle to keep the rise in the average global temperature below 2 degrees centigrade compared to the pre-industrial era, the women-led development, and on a host of other issues which are bothering the global community. India demonstrated that we can build consensus for the global good. And at the same time, India also had a great opportunity to showcase how, as a country, we are progressing. One of the major things which has become an example to emulate for the entire world is our emphasis on developing efficient digital public infrastructure to reach out to the last person in the queue. Today we have seen the impact of digital public infrastructure, how it has led to the financial inclusivity, how it is the services, the multidimensional services provided to our people is reaching to everybody across the socio-economic spectrum. And education is definitely one area India can play a leadership role in the world. In fact, during the G20 presidency, in the area of education, there were multiple deliberations at different levels. We had the G20 Education Working Group deliberations. We had the G20 Education Ministers deliberations. And if you look at the outcome of all these deliberations, for example, the education ministers came up with few themes which are of global importance. For example, enhancing the foundational literacy and numeracy, leveraging the use of digital technology, making the education more meaningful in the lives of the future workforce, and enhancing the cross-border collaboration in higher education and the research and innovation. These are themes which are of great importance to the entire global community, although it has emerged from the G20 deliberations. And then the G20 working group on education, they came up with some important conclusions. For example, they focused on the 5 C's: coordination and leadership, content and curriculum, connectivity and infrastructure, capacity and culture, cost and sustainability. These are the 5 C's on which the G20 focused on. Now, when you look at either these themes or the 5 C's framework that has emerged out of the G20 deliberations, it closely reflects the objectives that we have set for ourselves by implementing the NEP 2020. In a way, therefore, the G20 presidency also provided us an opportunity to bring in the Indian thought process into the frameworks and the themes that the G20 finalized for the entire community, global community. Friends, we all know that the primary objective of NEP 2020, if I can describe in 3 terms, is very clear to us in our minds. We want to make our education learning outcomes based. Point 1. Point 2, because there is so much of diversity among the students, either in terms of the cognitive abilities or the financial capabilities and the social conditions, it is important that we provide personalized and individualized education. That is how we can bring equity in education. That is point 2. And point 3, we must provide high quality education on a mass scale. So learning outcomes based education, personalized education, high quality education on a mass scale. These are the primary objectives of our NEP 2020, and these are clearly reflected in the themes and in the framework that the G20 has evolved. Let me very briefly tell you how NEP 2020 is connected to the outcomes of the G20 in education. For hundreds of years in India, I must say even thousands of years, starting from our ancient educational system, which existed in Nalanda, Takshila, and to the present times, we always considered our educational institutions as social institutions, not as corporate entities. Our educational institutions have social responsibilities to perform. And when we want to provide education on a mass scale to the student, that is one of the primary social objectives of our educational institutions. If I provide high quality education on a mass scale, it is bound to enhance the average competencies of people in the society. When that happens, the average productivity levels will go up, which will then strengthen our economic system. And when our economic system becomes stronger, the per capita income of individuals will go up. That will further enhance the per capita wealth of our society, which will enable us to put in more public funds to educate more people. So it's a regenerative, positive feedback. One feeds the other and becomes bigger and bigger. And that's the reason why we need to educate on a mass scale. But in order to do that, one of the themes of the G-20 is to leverage the digital technology. The digital technology, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom, it needs to be used in order to enhance the learning outcomes of the students. When the learning outcomes of the students is increased, they become more creative and innovative, which will then further lead to other developments. And technology can also be used to reach out to a large number of students across the country. Today, India has one of the largest educational system. Right from the school education to higher education, we have nearly 30 crore students, 26 crore students in school education, 4.1 crore students in higher education. Estimates say that these numbers are going to increase at a rapid rate. In higher education itself, we will have close to 8 crores to 10 crore students. During the last 100 years or so, we are able to build about 1,100 universities, 45,000 colleges. And while we continue to build the physical mode of education by building universities and colleges, the pace at which our younger generation is aspiring to have high quality education, access to high quality education, to match those aspirations, we need to leverage the digital technology. And that's the reason why, as a regulator, we are focusing on encouraging more educational institutions to provide high quality online education. Today, we have more than 80 universities which are offering online programs, and IGNOU is one of those leading universities in our country. And we need many more such universities to reach out to the students. And friends, it is also our responsibility not just only focus on the students who are part of the educational system. What about those who drop out of the educational system for various reasons? They do not complete their schooling, or they do not complete their university education, they drop out. Is it not our responsibility to make sure that we come up with systems where these students do not have that stigma of dropping out, but they will have mechanisms to continue their educational journey, even if there are temporary setbacks in their educational journey. And in order to do that, we are coming up with many reforms to take care of the interests of many such students. As you know, today 65% of Indians, they still live in villages, in rural backgrounds. And many of them, they depend on farm activities. But in order to encourage them to participate in diverse economic activities, not just only in farm activities, we must provide them appropriate skills. So as educational institutions, we need to reach out to them, design short-term skill programs, other foundational literacy and numeracy programs. That is why I began saying that our educational institutions have a social responsibility. So when you do that, these people who are living, these young people who are living in the rural backgrounds, who face multidimensional challenges, they become resilient. They will have, for example, using technology, access to global markets. They can use their locally produced products to market across the globe and improve their own lives and people around their surroundings. So there are many such reforms that we must introduce. I am very glad to note, and I had the privilege along with Sri Amitabh Kant ji to launch the 4-year undergraduate program. Today, we have nearly 200 universities which have launched the 4-year undergraduate program. It is a very reformative step that we have taken in higher education by introducing this. It is not just increasing the duration of the program from 3 years to 4 years. If you look at the National Credit Framework and the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, for the first time, we are now trying to bring a kind of uniformity across the country on how do you creditize the learning of the students. We have very clearly defined now the meaning of a credit. And for the first time in the world, even in the school education, we are introducing the credit system so that the students can progress from one level to the other level in their continuous journey of education, accumulate these credits in the academic bank of credits, reuse them, redeem them, and progress in their educational journey. And even if there is a temporary setback, the students can come back and continue their educational journey. The academic bank of credits is one of the significant usages of digital technology in our higher education. When the foreign delegations meet me at UGC and when we discuss with them the kind of reforms that we are bringing, when they hear about the National Credit Framework and the Academic Bank of Credits and other reforms, they were so pleasantly surprised. They say, we wish we had such systems. And that's the reason why I'm confident to say that we can play a leadership role in the world today in the field of education. Our educational system, in spite of the limitations it had, it has produced world leaders in various domains, be it World Bank, be it academics, be it in research, be it in global leadership. Our educational system has produced world leaders. But we cannot be complacent. The times are changing. Only those things, even in nature we know, only those species which can adapt to the changing times will survive. And that is the reason why we have introduced NEP 2020, not to be complacent, but to bring reforms which are in tune with the changing times so that we can achieve the larger objectives that we have set for ourselves. And to simplify the larger objective that we have set for ourselves is to make India a fully developed country by 2047. And if you work back, a fully developed country for us from Indian perspective is a country which is based on inclusive development, is a country where every Indian, irrespective of their socio-economic background, geographical location, all of them will participate in this inclusive journey of our country's development. That is the objective. And in order to achieve that, we need people in different sectors. We need people in service, we need in manufacturing, you need efficient agricultural processes. And who will produce these people? It is the educational institutions. And these educational institutions should come out of the traditional ways of providing education. We need to think out of the box and make sure that every Indian, irrespective of their age, who wants to study has access to high quality education. And that is the reason why educational institutions play an important role in building a healthy, a happy human society. And who are the building blocks of those educational institutions? It is teachers like you. It is you, every time you walk on the stage and looking into the eyes of the students, through your actions, through your thought process, you are molding the future of our youngsters. Therefore, we should always recollect every moment of our life that as a teacher, we play an important role in society. It is not like any other job. It's a noble profession. And once we recollect about that, whatever resistance that comes in our mind when we want to introduce these reforms in the higher education, they will melt away. And you will become focused on the larger objective that we have set for ourselves in our country. So friends, just to conclude, I would like to say that let us all work together as teaching community, as student community, and transform our educational system right from the school education to the higher educational system so that India will become a role model for the rest of the world. And thank you very much.